Hi, my name's Elizabeth Kerwin. I'm here with messages from Rose Portal. I have a very special guest today. Her name is Debrah Mokun. I'm interviewing her about her travels to India in 2014. Debrah Mokun is a poet, essayist. She's been a student of theology, psychiatry. She is very well versed in many disciplines, and Debrah has traveled the world extensively. One of the major places that she's traveled is to India, and today I'm going to interview her about her motivation for her travel to India, her reasons for going there, where she ended up when she was there, how long she stayed, and some of the experiences that she had as a yogi in a very special time in a very special place in India in 2014. I hope you will join me from Messages from the Rose Portal here today, and we have Fire and Roses, as well as our special guest, Debrah Mokun. Debrah, why did you want to travel to India in the first place?
I wanted to go back to where the origins of the tradition hail, from which they hail. So going back to Rishikesh was, in a sense, going back into the mother, the birthing of the yogic tradition, of the Vedic tradition.
Okay, there you go.
The mother Ganga. The river runs there, and then the Himalayas are right behind it, so you're constantly transfixed by the combination of the mountainous and the river flow. So you see that thing that is an obstacle there that's hard to get across the mountain, but so easy to flow with the river. In fact, every day I would go into the market and I would purchase a pomegranate every morning, and I would sit by the Ganga and I would stare at the pomegranate and I would inscribe with my mind's eye, sort of set my third eye right upon it, and set an intention. And at the time it was usually about heart opening, because that was certainly blocked. So,
Yeah.
and I knew that.
In our culture, our heart chakras are blocked.
Yes. And I was one of those people sort of operating from here up.
Yeah.
So the first step, is to go down to the heart. To begin the rooting process.
Right.
Which was what my trip to India was about. I saw the grand intention was to really root into me.
Right.
Because I thought I had sort of been thrown asunder by life, as we all are.
Well, okay, so the year was 2014. What month was it that you journeyed to India?
I left in December, so I taught a whole bunch of classes as an adjunct at various schools. I don't know how I made it that semester, but I just worked, accrued a bunch of money. I think I left the United States with maybe about 15 grand, and that's a lot, in India. So I was able to stay at remarkable places and have remarkable experiences.
Nice.
And, I thought about staying for a while and casting away the shackles of American cultural experience. But then I realized that it's in me, and I ended up coming back. So.
Well, back to the origins of your pilgrimage. All of that started here in the United States as, just a regular person in the everyday act of traveling, being a traveler, and going out to the West Coast, being in Philadelphia based.
Right.
And then making a journey, to Seattle and then to Mount Shasta, right?
Yeah, I was doing a poetry tour. My second book had come out called the Ida Pingala, which interestingly enough, I wasn't even that yet involved in yogic practice, only as casting it as somatic experience from which to birth poems. So I had written this book where I was interchanging the Ida and the Pingala, my masculine and feminine, my anima and my animus, and allowing them to commingle to birth the poem.
Right.
So I had all of my, the gestation process, and then I think writing that book led me to India, actually. I think writing the book laid the foundation, and then when I toured that book, I went to Seattle, and then I went to Portland, actually, because a very good friend of mine, Jessica, lives there, and so I was staying with her and I realized, oh, Mount Shasta is only 7 hours from here. I'm going to rent a car.
That's not bad.
No. And it's a beautiful ride.
Yeah.
You know. The most beautiful ride I've ever taken, in fact.
Nice.
So, and Mount Shasta is said to be where Lemuria is part of Lemuria.
Right,
So.
exactly. The mythological, one of the 3 mountains that are sacred to the native tribes in North America. Mount Shasta, Mount Denali, and a mountain that I've been to in Colorado, Mount Blanca.
Yeah.
So you've been to Mount Shasta.
Yes.
So this journey that you took was from Seattle to Mount Shasta.
Yeah, from Seattle to Portland and then to Mount Shasta.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said, give or take a few minutes or whatever, about a 7-hour journey, right?
Yeah.
On that journey, what happened to you?
Well, I was transfixed by the beauty of the drive, first of all, but then when I got to Mount Shasta, that's when it started to get a little interesting in that I felt like I wasn't, it just felt like I'd entered this magical zone.
Yeah.
Almost, I felt a little trippy or something, but I wasn't on anything. So I felt elevated, I guess one could say, or like in a moment of ascension, you know, and everything felt angelic.
Right.
So to speak. And it makes sense because it's part of the pilgrimage is to enhance where the earth becomes a mirror of who you are, and therefore it becomes the holy place.
Right.
So you imbue through the act of pilgrimage, setting that intention that this is a pilgrimage.
Were you on a pilgrimage from Seattle to Mount Shasta?
That was indeed a pilgrimage.
What was the intention of that pilgrimage?
The intention of that was that I had felt that I was getting so disconnected from my body, and I felt like I was getting so egoic.
Yeah.
And I wanted to alleviate the burden of my ego.
Yeah.
I felt all of these, what I knew came to be called sankalpas in the mind, these imprints from past lives, and I wanted to unwind some of that. So
Right.
I went to
Right.
Mount Shasta.
Okay. So, on your way, what happened while you were on this sacred journey, this pilgrimage?
Yeah, so I drove to the top of the mountain there, and I got out of the car and I sat and walked around, and I felt suddenly like I was not on Mount Shasta but on Mount Meru.
Oh.
And I saw like Shiva in the sky and Krishna in
Wow.
and I saw this George Harrison looking thing. So I was a little startled. Whoa, I'm in Mount Shasta, not in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
How did this happen? But then I learned from you that there's this lava tube concept. Or
Right,
lava
right.
flow, or...
There's lava tubes as big as, as big as trucks that you could drive trucks through that travel to places like the Himalayas in India, and that also go to Egypt, and apparently there's even lava tubes that go down to Mayan ruins in South and Central America. So all these lava tubes outside of Mount Shasta, they lie about 15 to 20 miles outside of Mount Shasta, and in our minds even, if not in our bodies, we could travel to all of these places.
Yeah.
So you believe you had an experience where you were up on Mount Shasta, you were up on the mountain, and you had an experience where you traveled to the Himalayas.
Exactly. I think that's what happened. And in that moment, I realized that I needed to go to the Himalayas. It was
Right.
there that sort of hit me. I had memories, I had ideas that I would do that at some point, but they were deeply, I think they were very dormant. And
Yeah.
by going to Mount Shasta, it became, it became so conscious. It
Right.
was so submerged before, because I think it was past life,
Yeah.
memory or something. So.
This sounds like more than a transformation, it sounds like a revelation to me.
Yes, that there was something that I needed to go do and learn by going to India.
Okay, that answers my question.